for the students to make a simple possibility to make differences and to divide. That you can make all Christians denominations theoretically either in 3 tribes or in 3 typics of dominations. Catholic Church, it is an own typic because it is so big. I'm thinking when you have on the world 9 million inhabitants, 2 million are Christians and 1.5 million are Roman Catholics, and the other 500 million all the others. Church is one big type. The second type are the churches who have their origin and their backgrounds in the Reformation. When there was a big Reformation who came over Europe and all over the world, the Lutherans, the Reformed, and all these churches, and from the Reformed or the Protestant churches, and from this wing are coming all the most so-called free churches or other denominations. And this is the second type. And the third, there was a schism in some European countries and in Switzerland too, in the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church now was separated in the Roman Catholic Church and the Old Catholic Church. And the Old Catholic Church in Switzerland staying in the Old Catholic faith, and so it was the name Old Catholic. We are the Catholic Church before the First Vatican Council, and the others became with the First Vatican Council Roman Catholic, because the Pope alone was the point and the centralism of this church. And this was the reason for the Old Catholic Church in Switzerland. And then in the 19th, on the Philippines, there was your movement and Bishop Agrippa. And in this time, there was a letter correspondence between these 2 persons, Bishop Herzog and Bishop Agrippa, because in this time, today it's not a problem, we have free TV and all your things, and you can go on the homepage of the Old Catholic Church of Switzerland, and I can go on the homepage of the IFI, and in the modern world we have many possibilities of communication to know from each other. But this was not possible in the 90s, and the possibilities of letters. And so there was a big correspondence between the 2 Herzog, Switzerland, and Agrippa on the Philippines. And they have the idea in this time that the so-called independent Catholic Church worldwide should have more contacts. But then there was this correspondence, and then it was the problem and the shame of the First and Second World War. And so there was a break, because it was not possible to have contacts very intensive in this time. And then when the Second World War, 1945, was finished, then we make this context again. And at first it was more a contact of institutions. And so in the 1965, the Old Catholic Churches of the Union of Utrecht made a concordat of full communion with the Old Catholic Church and with an IFI. And in this time, then we have many possibility on the level of bishops. And then this institution, then in the context, we break down on the level of the institutions of education. And the third step was to break it down in the context of the social NPOs. And then for 25 years, partner sign, we have now a delegation of Bohol supported worldwide programs from the Anglicans, from the Matoma Church and IFI for the kindergarten in Bohol, or the program of famous deacons and priesthood in Acts, I'm thinking, and on. And so today we have many kind and possibility of contacts, and through the modern mobility, many persons of the Philippines, you know it, are working worldwide in other countries and in Europe and in Switzerland too. The most IFI too, and then they have contacts to our parishes. This is a short overview about the common history and the actuality relationship. And Father Adrian Sutter was here and have to give many lectures, and he can do it better than I. But when you have questions, to give answers. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Bishop. Now it's time for interactions. Anything under the sun that you would like to ask the Bishop. You don't be ashamed. You can speak in the recital if you want, then we can translate it. Or the Tagalog, still translate. Okay. Anything that you would like to ask, probably about theological education formation in Switzerland?
Good morning, Bishop. My name is Brother Eljan Sinopit from the Diocese of Samar. So as I have listened earlier, you said that all Catholic Church has existed before the First Vatican Council, right?
Yes and no, yes. Yeah.
Then every independent Catholic churches all around the world have some similar context based on historical experiences, right?
Yes.
And so my question is, we belong in the third type of what I said earlier, that there are three typical churches, the Catholic churches. So we belong in the third typical Catholic church, which means that even other typical churches, which is Christian, also Christians. So if there's a question in my mind that how does the Christian has a very different doctrines when they are only teaching about Christ, or they are teaching about the ministry of Christ? Thank you.
The ministry, and yeah, I'm thinking that what is I will start on another point. What is the ideal of unity of the church, and what is the possibility for the service? And I'm thinking for the third wing, it is important that the church has the structure of the so-called ancient old church in the 7th century, first 7th century. And in this time, you had only local churches. The churches of Jerusalem, the churches of Antiochia, the churches of Rome. Only one church on one place. And I am thinking this is the idol of unity. And this one church can be very often varied and can have different services and so, but the idea is the unity of the local church. And the idea is that this unity is under a bishop. And I'm thinking this is typical for all these independent Catholic churches too. They have deacons, priests, and bishops. And this is the idea of the so-called Old Church of the first 7th century. But these local churches were very different. There were big differences between the Church of Antiochia and Jerusalem and Rome. But when the people changed their place in this time, it was possible too, through reasons of economic, or you married, or all this, and then you have changed the place. But the idea of this concept was, when you changed the place, you make on this place not a new church, you go to be integrated in the church. So that the unity of the local church is a unity. And the worldwide unity, or the unity of a region, yes, is a meeting of churches. And a meeting of churches in our tradition is a meeting of bishops. There are like people up to, and so the bishop conferences have the contacts and regulate all things that what we can do together. And an important question then in this time you can make a ecumenical council to make two decisions for the whole church. But the idea is from the structure for the church, and I am thinking this is typical for this three, is the same concept of unity of the church and the same structure of deacon, priests, and bishops, and that lay person are important too, but in another way. And that's the National Assembly or the Synod with all people is a place to make all important decisions. But on the other side, we have a very sensible diversity of people. They have different languages, different cultures, different kinds to make service and celebrations. And there is no reason to solve it. Now we are here on the Philippines, and when you come to Switzerland, then we have this service and we celebrate here. And so I'm thinking Catholic for me is to have the structure of deacon, priest, bishop, and the importance of the laity, and a synod, and that people elect the bishop and make all their decisions together, and they live together a Catholic faith in the way of the service and the sacraments and so on. Was this answer? Okay.
Thank you. Any more? Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Is the Old Catholic Church is the Old Catholic Church an independent church in your country?
Independent church. Yes, it is so. It is an independent Catholic Church from Rome. And I would say now make a second step to the Union of Utrecht, because it was so. When I say there was a protest movement in Switzerland in the 1870 against the First Vatican Council, we have this protest movement in Germany, in Austria too. And so later, these three churches has founded 1989 the Union of Utrecht. And the Union of Utrecht is the communion of the old Catholic churches. And later, the Church of the Netherlands and others came to this. And today, the Union of Utrecht is only a phenomenon of continental Europe. And we are existed in 7 countries. Yes. Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Czech Republic, Poland and Croatia. And in these 7 countries you have 7 independent Catholic churches. And they are independent. And each year we have bishop conference for 1 week, and in this week we discuss all important questions and make decisions over it. Also, and the Union of Utrecht, I'm thinking, is similar than the Lambeth Conference for the Anglicans, or when the IFI has meetings of their bishops. Yeah, this is similar. And though, but it is so that each of this church is independent, but we say it, and this is very difficult today, we say in all questions of culture, each diocese can make their own decisions. But in questions of faith, it is not possible through the unity of the church and make a diocese their own decisions. And so in question of faith, you have to make the decisions together. But we have the problem now, and I'm thinking it's not a problem of the old Catholics alone, of other churches too. For many centuries, it was clear what are questions of faith and what are questions of culture. But today, we are in a time where some important things are changing, and so it is not more clear. And so the first question for us was, is the ordination of women a question of culture, or it is a question of faith? And hard discussion in the Union of Utrecht. And so we made the decision, it is a question of culture and not a question of faith. And so the reality today is that the old Catholic Church in Poland has no ordination of women. The old Catholic Church in the Czech Republic and Croatia has only female deacons, but not priesthood. And all the other old Catholic churches have the ordination of women, and it is possible to be a deacon, priesthood, and a bishop. And the second theme was marriage for all. When very European countries make a decision of a law of the state, and then we have decisions in two, and only the old Catholic churches in the Netherlands, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland take over the development of the state and the church for marriage of all. And for the other churches, it was not possible through different reasons. One reason is that they was against it, but the other is that the state has marriage of all, and then you have not this question. This is a problem of intercultural relationship. And so the Old Catholic Church of Switzerland is an independent Old Catholic Church, but it is together with the Union of Utrecht. And then, let me say, this is very important, then from their model of unity, the Old Catholic Church said, we are independent Catholic local churches in continental Europe, and we make not mission outside Europe, and we do not found new churches or daughter churches in other countries. Yes? So we are only a Catholic church in continental Europe. But to have relationship worldwide, we make full communion with other independent Catholic churches. And so the first step was 1931 to make a full communion with all Anglicans, with the Anglicans. Then the next step was 1965 to make full communion with the IFI and the Philippines independent Catholic churches in Spain and Portugal. And now, for 3 years, we make communion with the Church of Sweden. The Church of Sweden has a Lutheran background, similar to the Church of England, who has the background of the Anglicans, but the Church of Sweden is a Catholic church. And I know that the Church of Sweden has contacts to your church too, and programs too. And the next step will be communion with the Indian Matoma Church, who is in communion with the Anglicans too. With IFI? I don't know. IFI. And then have we made a dialogue with the Orthodox churches too, with the Eastern Orthodox churches, not the Oriental, the Eastern Orthodox churches. And he was finished 1986. Yes? And the idea was perhaps we can make a full communion. But then the first Old Catholic Church has the first ordination of female priesthood. And in this moment, the Orthodox Church has stopped all relationship and said this is not possible for us at this moment. We need 100 years more. Perhaps. Yes. And that